How many of you remember The Very Organized Thief? Cause I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't many. The game made its rounds on YouTube originally in the year 2013, and it was one of those cases where something got insanely popular for a few months and then kinda just vanished. At the time that it was popular though, it was huge. Massive Let's Play channels like Jacksepticeye, Markiplier, PewDiePie, and so many more made several videos on it, and those videos got so much attention. If you were a Let's Play YouTuber back then, chances are you played it. I bring all this up because much like many channels around this time, I found myself really fascinated by The Very Organized Thief only to completely forget it even existed up until this year. I was reminded of it for the first time in years while working on my Hello Neighbor video, and after I remembered the game, I also remembered one key little aspect of it from my childhood. It used to scare the crap out of me. Yeah, for whatever reason, The Very Organized Thief used to really freak me out as a kid. I remember downloading it on my old laptop and I straight up couldn't finish it because I would get too scared and turn it off. So, naturally, that little bit of nostalgia got me curious. I've revisited old games that used to freak me out in the past, and this one seemed like a good choice for that. I wanted to understand what it was that used to freak me out so much and see if it still does nowadays. And after revisiting the game properly, I can certainly say that while The Very Organized Thief isn't downright terrifying, there absolutely is something unnerving about the game. To those of you who either don't know what this game is or need a refresher, The Very Organized Thief is a simple little stealth game about robbing a house in the dead of night. At the start of the game, you're given a randomized checklist of items you need to steal, and your objective is to collect them as quickly and effectively as possible. This simple premise, as well as being insanely fun to play and try to optimize, is what I feel immediately makes this game so eerie. The entirety of the game takes place in a vacant, dark house that we're not supposed to be in. We're an intruder who quietly roams around, and the game makes it constantly apparent that this place is completely empty. We have no light in here other than our flashlight, and the only sound we have to listen to as we roam around this place is that of our own footsteps and the constant ticking of a grandfather clock in one of the other rooms. And that grandfather clock quickly goes from being a simple, eerie sound in the environment to being easily the scariest part of this entire game. You see, while I feel that the premise of being alone in some stranger's house is definitely a creepy one, it was not the aspect of the game that used to make a younger version of myself turn it off in fear. No, that achievement goes to what happens when you take too long to complete your tasks. As you walk around the house trying your hardest to locate all the items on your little shopping list, suddenly, without any warning, the silence of your search is broken by the loud chimes of the grandfather clock. And this isn't just some eerie little Easter egg that was put in the game to startle you. No, it's a warning. A warning that you need to pick up the pace because soon after these chimes end, the owner of the house returns. This right here, this was what used to scare me so much as a kid. The looming threat of the owner's return is nerve-wracking. What goes from a simple little game about collecting items on your list quickly turns into a tense race against the clock where you try your hardest to do everything in your power to win before it gets harder. From a game design standpoint, this mechanic is a great way to incentivize the need to do things fast in the game. Without it, there's no challenge or urgency and you can just go about your robbery at a brisk pace. It feels like in trying to make something both fun and challenging, the creators of this game accidentally created a source of horror from it which sparks a kind of anxiety which I have a hard time dealing with in these kinds of games. Having the unsettling silence of the environment suddenly broken by this loud warning and knowing what it means put me under a lot of stress while revisiting the game. And that was before I even had to deal with what happens after the owner enters the house. When the owner comes back, there is this long moment of anticipation, where you hear the sound of their car approaching outside and their keys going in the doorknob as they begin to enter the house. During this period, the game doesn't let you leave, forcing you to sit there and wait for them to actually enter before you have a chance of escape. And once they begin roaming around the house, the moment they spot you, they will give chase until you're either caught or you leave through one of the two exits. Admittedly, being chased by the homeowner isn't the scariest thing in the world. Their model's kinda goofy looking, and when they do catch up to you, you get a couple of hits before you actually go down. But I find that the build up to their arrival, as well as trying to avoid them once they properly enter the house, is still really threatening, even if it wasn't really intended to be that way. And even with that said, I had a couple moments while playing this game where the owner spotting me actually startled me really badly.
Your best isn't.
I'm the very organized thief. Oh my god! Oh my god! Hi! Oh my god! No, please! Oh my god!
He has the crowbar.
Get your hands off my
I'm out.
barbecue.
I'm out. I'm leaving. I'm not even entertaining that. No, thank you. Overall, The Very Organized Thief feels like one of those games which wasn't trying to be a horror game, but the way the mechanics and environment work together end up giving it a really creepy atmosphere that feels very unintentional. I won't sit here and say that the game is downright terrifying, cause it really isn't, but I feel like the younger version of myself who couldn't finish this game had a good reason for it. It's just a fun little game that has some unsettling elements to it, with those elements playing into the eeriness while never becoming anything too extreme. That is until the Halloween update! Okay. So you may have noticed while I was talking about this game that my footage looked a little spookier than the game normally looks. That's because while I was doing some research for this video, I found out that the game had a Halloween update which changes the entire house to look all spooky and Halloweeny if you set your date and time to be October. When I found this out, I decided to record almost all my footage using the Halloween version of the game cause, well, that's kind of my thing, and nothing could have prepared me for the shit that this version of the game does. What I expected to be a simple cosmetic change to the layout of the house quickly revealed itself to be easily the scariest thing it had to offer. And this much was apparent the moment I saw this happen while I was trying to look around in the garage. Creepy little events and Easter eggs like this happen constantly in this version of the game. If it isn't some random ghost appearing in the kitchen, then it's you being stalked by one which never leaves your side, or random snippets on the wall meant to freak you out, or, you know, the elephant in the room which is the horrifying event that happens as a replacement for the grandfather clock.
Nothing's happening, Blakey. Nothing of note at all.
Finish, I'll at least show you the progress.
Where?
Dude,
General. I mean, Pasha's Ultimate Custom Night.
the Very Organized Thief just scared the shit out of me. The first time this happened to me, I felt my soul leave my body. It scared me so badly. And the events that happen afterwards are just as scary. The whole house begins to fill with this fog as an ominous ambience track begins to slowly build up. And rather than hearing the owner enter the house, you just suddenly start being pursued by the Grim Reaper. Here I was expecting this small Halloween update to do nothing but provide some small cosmetic changes, but by the time I was done playing it, I found myself writing this entire section because I wasn't ready for how genuinely scared I was going to be the moment I swapped my date and time over. Maybe you could say that the reason this part of the game got me so bad was purely for the fact that I didn't expect it, and you know what, if you think that, that is absolutely fair, but that doesn't change how much this got me still. This update, as well as the elements I discussed earlier, proved to me that The Very Organized Thief is definitely just as creepy as I remember. The base game, while never being anything downright terrifying, has a disturbing atmosphere which just comes from the setting and mechanics the game provides. And the Halloween update introduces new elements to it which catch you off guard and can genuinely be really scary at times. I found myself very pleasantly surprised by this game after revisiting it. Not only did I find that the elements that used to freak me out as a kid continued to do so as I got older, but I also just found that the game is still really fun. Even after I had collected all the footage I needed for it, I found myself committing to some challenge runs where I tried to beat it as efficiently and quickly as possible, and I had a great time with it. It's just a really solid game which, aside from these creepy little elements I mentioned, is a lot of fun to play on its own. I know it's been a long time since it ever got updated or we even saw anything for it, but I honestly hope that we see more from it in the future. Some more content I feel would really make this game relevant again, and I'd love to see it because I found myself getting really addicted to its gameplay loop. Anyway though, That'll be all from me for now. If you made it to the end of this video, I want to thank you for watching. This video, like many of my others, was a great time to make, and I hope to see you again in the future with whatever my next project ends up being. Goodbye for now.